much. Thank you for allowing me to come back in again, and Minister, and to the officials in the department as well. The DESH programme and the rollout of the DESH programme was really fantastic to see. I know we've 1 in 4 schools, and a secondary school in Ballinasloe was one of those schools actually in Galway to join, and they've just recently received investment as well for classrooms, so absolutely phenomenal. I suppose with that DESH access, there's access, and I just mentioned it the last time, it was one of my last questions, was just around the digital service, the digital library, sorry, for the junior certificate schools programme. I know that that's sort of audio books, and that it's great, you know, it's offered free to staff and to students for these DESH schools. But from what I understand from the committee, we've had correspondence that came into us, and if I might just outline from Mrs. Kathleen Moran, she's the senior librarian, and she just sent forward some correspondence into the committee, but just in relation to some of the new schools that have been added into DESH around the digital library service. So I don't know if maybe you might be able to answer this query, but it just mentions that the response entailed that it was a review of the junior certificate schools programme is underway, and while the review is ongoing, that no new applications are currently been accepted for schools for entry to the junior certificate schools programme or to the digital library service. Minister, I suppose it's just really to query, you know, is this something that has come from the department, or maybe it's at what level, and was it for circulation to school principals, and then just maybe just the terms of the review, and is there a timeline? I know you have a number of reviews in the department at the moment, so I don't know if you might have a list of the reviews. Obviously, school transport, very familiar with that one, but there might be a number of other reviews. You might maybe just give us a summary if you have it available, or you might be able to send us into us again. But it is wonderful that we have so many schools that are availing of DESH, but just, I suppose this was one of the other elements that is a fantastic addition, but just, is there a challenge at the moment with schools getting access?
Yeah, just in terms of, and you're 100% right, Senator, we have now seen the single largest investment into DESH, 17 million now growing to 32 million next year. It has allowed for the single biggest number of schools to come into the DESH programme. And it now means that 1 in 4 of our students are attending DESH supported schools, and that is as we would want it. I'm also conscious in terms of, you know, as you referenced, the digital library services and all of that. The impetus for all of that really is behind our literacy and numeracy strategy, and the significant body of work that has been achieved in terms of the strategy that was first put in place in 2011 and reviewed in 2017. And we are now in the process of a new digital strategy, when you talk about reviews, of a new digital strategy being put in place, and that will be in place in 2023. Just in the general, just to speak about the advantage of library and numeracy, literacy, all of that across a whole different area of fields. Our students consistently feature very highly in terms of all these international, reading literacy studies, the PEARLs as they call them. Irish children rate amongst the best in Europe and indeed in the OECD. So that's very significant. We've had a €20 million investment specifically in terms of libraries for our schools, in terms of books and different types of equipment that would, foster a culture, I suppose, of literacy in our schools. You're correct, there is a review in terms of junior cycle, and that's an ongoing review, and that will be completed shortly. And as part of the implementation of the I suppose the junior cycle, it was agreed with all involved that there would be the space for the review, and that will now be completed as quickly as possible. We are seeking to offer supports, and I'm mindful of schools who are not in DESH, and you specifically referenced some of the supports there that are available to them. The next body of work within the department is to look at the schools outside of DESH but still in need of support. I know myself, everybody here knows, there are children attending schools that are not DESH schools, yes, but they need supports. So there is a significant funding that has been made available now as a consequence of the budget, where we're looking at measures around inclusion, whether it's HSCL's homeschool liaison community, yes. The HSCLs, and as I say, the homeschool community liaison, and the school completion, all those initiatives. So we will be pushing forward as quickly as we can with looking at other measures to level the playing pitch for students, and specifically in reference to the digital library service, I am happy to look at that again just to see what opportunities we have. But it is tied up, and she's quite correct, in terms of reviews and that. But I will look at that just to see what scope we have.
Yeah, perhaps even just to understand maybe the costings that are associated with it. And so is it a case then that, do you think this review might be, is it a number of months we're speaking of for this particular review, or is it a case that there won't be access until the review is completed?
Well, I'm going to say to you, Senator, I don't want to mislead you there now or mislead you, so I will come back to you with something
if you
more
can,
definitive
and
on
even
that,
just to provide a timeline around it. It's just, it is a fantastic service. I mean, to be honest, I loved reading, and I must admit I'd love to go back to school now, although I don't know where to fit everything in. I don't ever get time to read anything right now. But just the other thing I might just mention as well is that My Open Library initiative is a fantastic initiative through the local authorities. That's been rolled out, for example, in Ballinasloe, where you'll be able to get access through your own card to get into a library. And that's literally right beside, that library is right beside the DESH Level 1 school in Ballinasloe, the primary school. But it's still so important that we could get, that teachers and staff would be able to get access to this. So I suppose, Minister, if you could review, it would be very much appreciated, particularly for those additional schools that are coming into DESH. But again, those HSCL support school completion, the hot meals, just school meals, children who are having challenges, and books that they're not. Books may not be just coming in.
I do appreciate that, and I do want to acknowledge the excellent work of the local authorities in terms of the library service. There are terrific links between our schools and the library service, and in fact the €20 million, we have invited our schools to liaise with the library service there in terms of types of books, suitability of books and all of that. And I also want to acknowledge the manner in which many libraries across the country, and I've been a beneficiary of this myself, where they work directly with the schools in terms of provision of whatever might be on the syllabus, whatever type of book is required, or whatever type of extracurricular reading might be required. Just terrific leadership and kind of collaboration between schools and the libraries, and we'd like to grow and nurture that going forward as well.
I want to go back myself.